Is a bird in the hand really worth two in the bush? As expectations gather steam, I finally get to grips with this very fine representation of the fastest steam-powered wild duck in history for a hands-on dabble with a great gathering and two mallards. Hi, my name's Andy and this is my channel Modeloco for all things model railway. As we asked, is a bird in the hand really worth two in the bush? Well, we're going to find out. Thanks to all the subscribers, all the thumbs up and all the superb comments in part 1, but this is part 2. Same cup, different drink. Let's have a look. It's more tactile this time. And without any further ado, let's get things started. Yes, it's a whole month on after what has been heralded as the beginning of a long overdue UK renaissance with this scale. So we now put our pens down, get rid of the fiction and factual we did in part 1 and look at the actual. Also put two great locos side by side of the same wild duck. We know that things can look great on paper, but you can't beat getting your hands on the real things, folks. Yes, of course, scaled down to perfection, depending on how many decimal points you go to, that is. So you can see and hear here my DCC sound-fitted mallard. Sadly, it's not the one that you see in the picture. This is a TT120 version, of course, from their Corgi TT120 scale static model range. And so this model I've used for this comparison measures in at approximately 179 millimeters. We were taught in engineering never to talk in centimeters so as not to be ambiguous and confused, so I'm just going to talk in millimeters. The OO Mallard is 291 millimeters long, and on the Hornby website it does state that their TT120 Mallard that is going to be produced by Hornby will be 191 millimeters long. That makes this model we're looking at basically 11 millimeters out, but it is sat on TT 120 scale track. It just about sits on it perfectly, to be honest. It's a tiny little bit bigger as you would imagine, but it's about 0.5 of a millimeter out on the width of the wheel spacing on the flanges. But you know, we can get a good feel of how things really measure up against a OO, and that's what we're here to do today on this video in part 2. So it does have to be said, I got an email off Hornby this week because I joined the TT120 club to say that due to unprecedented demand, the badges and all the free goodies, obviously you get your 15% discount if you start ordering any stuff, but straight away. This has been put back by not 2 weeks, it said up to 2 months. So I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing for the models that we're all waiting to see, and when they do come on tap, I guess they're going to be, you know, under intense scrutiny, because quality running and pulling power on my lips as well as yours, no doubt, along with the costs and budget space requirements, which we can go into a little bit here before we finish, supply chains, our economy and all the other accessories that we're just so accustomed to reaching out for off the shelf or in a local model shop or even at the click of a mouse now, more and more online to help build and furnish these layout imaginations that we have, as literally as fast as we can build them. All these items that now need shrinking down to size. Oh, if it were only that simple. But despite all this, we're not, are we, on the cusp of something old and something very new indeed at the same time? So, you know, this isn't a Triang TT scale, because UK Triang TT isn't 120 scale at all. I'm sure we discussed all that in the last video, and did you know too that there are several N scales if you didn't see part 1 out there? Oh dear, just let me grab this call. Okay, we got that out of the way. It's funny how people always call you when you're doing something like this, but that's how it goes. Yeah, like we said last time on part 1, we went into all the scales. Just a quick cap up on the OO wheel spacing isn't really scaled correctly. It's about 2.3 millimeters too narrow. So about
I think someone calculated it 7% out. But yes, all due to various decisions made and taken before most of us were even born. All that was discussed in part 1, as I said. Read the great comments too, and you read them as well. There's some great information on there. Anyway, this is a TT 120 Mallard that we're looking at, albeit the Corgi version. And more importantly, what really reins this scale in so people don't go off and call N scale whatever scale they decide to make it. The devil really is the numbers 1, 2, 0 after TT. These 3 numbers now should set the standard in stone. So we don't have several scales all calling themselves N gauge, for instance, as I used to call it as a kid. Meaning anything that and everything TT 120 will have to be manufactured to scale, and so run in harmony and coupled up together wherever bought, here or abroad, to run on your layout. Well, that's the vision, and so potentially becoming very big indeed in the UK, as it has done across the water in other major modelling parts of the continent. So they too may be about to dabble in our UK locomotives as well now, you see. So there might be demand from there. So we could hang on too long and miss some models that are released early on. But that said, if seeing is believing, then will this tickle your tail to go there and maybe put some orders in? And so we're going to run these 2 models together. I'm going to show them coming in together now so you can see what they really look like. And that was the case of this video, really, just to get a tactile view of stuff as near as possible as though you're having it in your own hands at the same time as I've had this model in my hands. So I'm bringing the 2 locos in together now, and you can just start to see the new SL 1200 Code 55 track, the TT 120 track, and in comes my Sound Loco in OO, and you can really now start, hopefully, to tickle those 2 tails of the Mallards, to tickle your fancy and maybe tickle your appetite. It certainly tickled mine. I can look all day at figures and things like that, and that's where it led us in part 1. But to really see the models up close, and I didn't want to put N-gauge, not that I've got any, but I've modelled N-gauge in the past, N-scale should I say. But there we can really see the 2 engines together now for the first time. I'm going to draw them a bit further up in a minute, and I'm going to do a walk round as well. You can see both pieces of track. The Code 100's definitely got a glossier feel. This new track is a lot better. It's 12mm gauge track, and it correctly scales out the standard 4-foot 8.5-inch gauge as used all over Britain's railway network. Its Code 55 combines strength and durability with a highly realistic appearance, and it certainly is. The visible height of the rail correctly represents 113-pound flat bottom rail. The flexible sleeper base is detailed with fine wood grain and spikes through British Railways BR1 base plates under the rails. So they've modelled them great. A combination that continues to be widely used on British railways. So yeah, we've had a walk around. You can see the Apple Pencil Mark 1 in the background. Tried one. Once bitten, twice shy. Does work a bit. Yeah. And now, having brought her in to match up, we're going to reverse her out. Just so you can get to grips with it. You know what I mean? I'll show another scan of the track as well. There we go. Look, you can really see the gloss on the Code 100. And the new TT 120 scale, or 120 gauge track, Code 55, is a lot more matte finished and a lot more realistic looking, I must say, having seen them in the flesh. You can't tell, can you, until you get stuff side by side. Just blowing off steam there. Fabulous. Thank you, Mallard. The Tale of Two Ducks. Has it tickled your tail? Well, that's it. The silence falls. There, we're going now in, and you can see the BR1 base plates under the rails. It's really quite magnificent, isn't it? And it's a lot thicker sleeper as well. So I'm really impressed. Yeah. And having the sort of Corgi TT120 scale model, even though it's not quite to scale. Having said that the number should set the standard, but you know, it's a Corgi model. Hornby's going to be a lot more accurate. That 11mm makes all the difference, folks. Yeah, looking at Peco Track as well. If you're wondering how you're going to join it, will the rail joiners? Yeah, use Engage SL310 rail joiners. They'll probably pack them up differently in the future. And you can use SL1208 joining sleepers, unless you cut them off. And you can use the Engage SL311 insulating joiners to create isolated track sections if you need to do that when you're running DC, which all these Hornby models are going to come as just DC models to start with. That's for the old analog system. Hornby points don't have an insul frog or an electro frog or anything like that in where the Peco ones do. And you would use insul joiners on the Peco points if you wanted to go onto a siding, isolate an engine, a locomotive, and drive another on the same loop sort of thing. That's the idea behind it. And also when we get onto DCC and we go on to block detection, which I'm all into, but that comes later on in my adventure and journey. That said, so all Hornby's points are isolating points. They come isolating, so you just flip them over and it isolates. But obviously you haven't got the frog that Peco have. So as you go into your railway journey, you're going to get into frogs, and we're all on wild ducks and frogs today, but you will... You will get into that side of things the more you go into it, and that's probably why you'll go from the set track eventually. Although it's always, us modelers always have a bit of set track in the box sort of thing. I'm put off a little bit because the bracing's there and to hold the track and stuff like that. So Peco is always sort of the professional modeler's choice, really, I'd say, especially in the UK, where we're based and where we're having this renaissance period. So yeah, that said, that's about it. And I have bought some points, and I got a couple of buffer stops as well, just to glue up together or clip together. I'm not sure what they do. New packaging, it's come all nicely card packaged, not in the old see-through plastic packaging of old. That's the new Peco track, so that's all available. Some of their wooden buildings are available as well. So we're just now waiting for you, Hornby Bornby. Come on, Simon, send me a mug. I don't want to keep putting my guitar one from the studio on. Yeah, that's about it for this look at TT120. I just wanted to get something in my hands and to look at and to feel, because I always remember being at college and having vernier protractors, and they're for measuring, bar diameters and things like that. We have micrometers as well. And when you're looking at those on paper and how to use them, I just thought, I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm never going to be able to understand. But as soon as I got them in my hands, it made sense. And that is exactly what this has done. This little Corgi model, yeah, it cost me 20 quid, but, it's for prosperity. It's for you guys. So if you want to give us a thumbs up or subscribe to the channel if you've enjoyed it, please do, because it helps others find me too and gets the information out. And I thought, yeah, I'll have a bit of investment in some track and some points. And I did say as well, before we finish, we'd have a look at the radiuses and track diameters, compare 00 to say TT120, because that's something else that I've been wondering and thinking about. So what I've gone is into the spare room. I've laid some second radius track out on top of the bed. Now, the mattress, a standard bed is about 6 foot by 3. So when you put the Hornby second radius set track together, and I've just gone round the fulcrum of the curve sort of thing. So we're looking at a radius of, on Hornby, let's just get this right. On R607 second radius set track, we're looking at 438 millimeters, which gives you a diameter of 876 millimeters. I do have some SL1200 Peco flexible TT120 track as well, but to lay that out and start trying to stick it down could get me into a lot of bother. So I've laid the tape rule out onto the bed, right onto the edge of the set track against the wall, and then out, and right at the edge of where the green tape is, where I've let the rule come down at the edge of there. That's exactly the TT 8804 second radius Hornby set track 30. It's called radius 30, and that is 310 millimeters, which is on the rule edge 620. So we've got the two diameters on the bed, the set track second radius diameter, and that's the one we sort of all want to get a grips with, really. First radius, if you're just starting out, guys, or ladies, whatever, I call everybody guys these days. Yeah, so guys, if you're just starting out, first radius, yeah, if you're really tight, but trains going round that, there's very few, shunters and things go round a first radius, but of course, you want to really go no tighter than the second radius. That's how we base our baseboards, really. So why I've used a single bed is because it's called the tabletop scale, and Simon Kohler was saying, well, it'll fit under your bed, under your single bed, which is 6 foot by 3 foot. Now, if you look at OO gauge, of course, OO gauge track, by the time you've got that on the bed, you've hardly any room for any straights. You want an oval of track. So, yeah, he's right what he's saying. A basic, just above basic TT120 baseboard would go under your bed, providing you haven't got big legs or you haven't got a divan or anything like that. So, very true. And providing you've got all your shoes and boxes of crap under boxes of rubbish under there. Providing you've got all that, you'll be okay. So that's why I put it on the bed, so we can get to grips with how it really looks in real life. Because that's something we can all measure up. And as the Hornby set track isn't available yet, I've used a steel rule rather than trying to hold flexible track down, and I didn't want to start pinning it to a board, then put that on the bed. It's too much hassle. So yeah, that's the idea of the diagram, that's the idea of the picture. And that said, we've covered about everything, apart from my buying of that as well. It's put my weekly coffee on the mountain bike at the end of a trip on hold for now, because by the time you fill your basket to get free postage and packing, as we've all probably done, you've got to knock up 100 and odd quid. So yeah, saying that, I will be building a small layout in TT120, and getting the Corgi model in TT120 really got my tail feathers wagging. So hope it's done the same for you. And then Hattons were going to send me all this stuff, and overnight delivery. After 2 days, I rang them and they said, oh, really sorry, we've had a rush on an O-gauge sale, so it might be another 2 days. So I said, well, look, let's forget it. He didn't really make me any pleasing offers like, oh, we'll give you some free, we'll knock you £5 off or something for waiting in for 2 days. No, none of that. But anyway, it's happened twice now, so once bitten, twice shy again, maybe. I don't know. So anyway, thanks to the Whitby store, the model shop TMC near Whitby, and they got it to me within 24 hours by DPD, because the PO's on strike as well, so beware of that. That said, enjoy the journey. I'll be with you soon. I'm sorry for the delay, but I wanted to get this down, and life gets in the way sometimes of making these videos. I'm new to making these videos, so it's all a learning curve, as well as it is with the modelling. I've had the Modeloco lift in total bits. That's on a rebuild. Some lights gone in it, some block detection gone in it, all wired up for that. It's incredible how much wire you use and stuff like that when you start getting into all this stuff. But yeah, that's on another video as well. But I will get a quick video out about the points and look at them and show them side by side. But all available now on the Peco store. Have a look on Hornby. Let's keep updated. And yeah, to all the friends made so far, keep commenting. It's great to read them. You guys are so brilliant. out there. And we can all get a little bit obsessive, can't we, in this journey? And modelling does draw you in. It can be, you know, a little model you've bought off eBay for $4.99, and it can run into thousands, literally. But I love it, and love you guys too. Anyway, that said, until next time, from Andy Mack and Modeloco and all things model railway, that's just about it, as I've said before. See you on the next one, and hopefully a bit more of an update from the Modeloco lift. And you might just see it now. I've got it all sort of a little bit more finished. A little bit. Okay, until next time, you take care, guys. Bye-bye.